Ready to unlock some secrets.
Ooh, secrets. I'm listening.
Well, today's deep dive is all about focus, concentration.
Always a good topic. People think it's simple, but
Exactly. And we're going old school for this one, like way back, using a book called The Power of Concentration.
now that one rings a bell. Early 1900s, right?
Yeah, got it. So it's like a message in a bottle from a simpler time, before smartphones and the internet.
But probably more relevant now when everyone's got a distraction in their pocket.
Right. It's overwhelming. This book feels like almost like a guide to navigating mental chaos.
And they get right to it with this metaphor of concentration as a sunbeam.
A sunbeam. Okay.
So scattered sunlight, it's weak, right? But focus it with a magnifying glass.
Oh, and you can burn stuff.
Exactly. Focus concentration is powerful. And they say everyone can tap into that.
I like the sound of that. I mean, I struggle to stay on task sometimes.
Well, the book's big on willpower. Like, it's a muscle you can train.
Okay, so what, like brain push-ups?
Kinda. They have these exercises. Some are a little out there, though.
Hit me with it. What kind of exercises?
Well, one is staring at a doorknob for, like, a really long time.
A doorknob, seriously.
Seriously. Or meticulously stacking cards, that sort of thing.
I don't know about staring at doorknobs. What's the point of that?
The idea is to train your mind to resist distractions, to hold that single point of focus.
So even if it's not a doorknob, finding something and just being present with it.
Exactly. Building mental discipline, that's the key takeaway. And it's like meditation in a way.
Ooh, okay, I see. So you build that focus muscle and then you can apply it to, well, anything. Like my to-do list, for example.
Exactly. Breaking bad habits, learning new things, anything you want to improve.
So by strengthening our focus, are we basically rewiring our brains for success then?
That's the idea. And the book links this to habits. When we're unfocused.
We fall back on autopilot, the bad habits, the procrastination.
Exactly. It's like our past selves are controlling us, but with concentration.
We take the wheel. Man, this is making me want to reread this book. But before we get too far, can we rewind to the beginning a bit? You mentioned something about its format, like Project Gutenberg.
Oh, yeah. Finding this book, there was a trip. It's like a time capsule, plain text, copyright notices, even those old FTP instructions.
It's amazing how far we've come, tech-wise.
For sure. But what's really cool is how much of the advice still applies. Like the stuff about mental imagery, visualization. It's not just willpower, but how you picture things in your mind.
Oh, like manifestation? Is that what they're talking about?
Kind of. They use this example of a farmer's wife, incredible strength during a fire. And it wasn't just adrenaline, the book says, but her focused will visualized in that moment of crisis.
Wow, okay, I'm not sure I could visualize my way out of a fire. But I get what you need about the power of thought.
Exactly. And it ties into their ideas about success. They tell this story of a guy who built a huge business, started with just 13 cents.
13 cents. Get out of here.
Seriously. And he credits his unwavering focus, his desire, as much as hard work. It's about what you concentrate on mentally.
Okay, that's a bit more my speed than the doorknob thing. Like, I'm not quitting my job to start a business on spare change. But
it makes you think, right, about the power of a positive mindset.
it does.
Yeah.
But we have to acknowledge that not everything in this book has aged well, right? I mean, the world was a different place.
Oh, absolutely. We always got to look at things in context, what was considered progressive then.
Might be a little iffy now, yeah.
Exactly. So we can take the good with the outdated stuff. Still lots to learn from the power of concentration.
For sure. And we've only scratched the surface. Willpower, focus, the connection between thoughts and reality. It's a lot to unpack.
It really is fascinating digging into these old books, like stepping back in time.
Right. And yet some things never change. Like, we all have this incredible power in our minds.
But we don't always use it right. This book, The Power of Concentration, it's got some pretty practical advice, like being choosy about what you let into your head.
Ooh, that's a good one. I mean, we all get bombarded with negativity sometimes.
Exactly. And it can really drag you down, drain your energy. The book talks about how negative thoughts can actually sap your willpower.
Oh, for sure. It's like that saying, garbage in, garbage out. If I'm feeding my brain junk, I can't expect it to perform at its best.
Right. And they give you tools to fight back against those thoughts. One thing they suggest is to picture your ideal self. Like, really imagine someone with all the qualities you want.
Confidence, focus, all that good stuff. So it's like creating a mental role model for yourself.
Exactly. And the book says if you keep visualizing that ideal version of you, you start to actually embody those qualities.
Okay, I like that. It's almost like you're programming your mind for success. focusing on the positive
Yeah.
and visualizing what you want to achieve.
Exactly. And speaking of positive outcomes, there's a whole section on intuition.
Intuition,
Mm.
like trusting your gut feeling,
Yeah. They say that when you quiet your conscious mind, all the noise and chatter, that's when you can tap into a deeper knowing.
like turning down the volume on all the distractions and letting your inner voice come through.
Exactly. And learning to trust that inner voice, even if it doesn't always make sense logically.
So it's not just about forcing yourself to focus, but also about listening to that quieter, more intuitive part of yourself.
Right. It's about finding that balance between focused effort and being open to those intuitive insights.
Okay, that makes sense. But we have to remember, this book is over 100 years old. Some of these ideas might feel a little outdated today.
Oh, for sure. Like we said before, context is key. What they considered groundbreaking back then.
Might not fly so much in our world today.
Exactly. But even with those limitations, I think the power of concentration still has a lot to offer.
Definitely. It's all about understanding both its strengths and its weaknesses. And on that note, I think it's time to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll dive in some of the more interesting ideas from the power of concentration, including the concept of a collective consciousness. Stay tuned. It's like we're not just along for the ride. We're actually in the driver's seat.
Right. And that changes how you look at things, that feeling of control.
Totally. And it reminds me of this whole concept from the power of concentration, this idea of a collective consciousness, like our thoughts can ripple outward.
It's a fascinating idea, isn't it? And it's been around for centuries, not just in this book.
So it's more than just we're all connected. It's like our thoughts actually influence the world around us.
That's what they suggest, yeah. And it makes you think about the kind of energy you're putting out there, positive or negative.
Right. It's like we're all adding to this giant pool of energy.
Yeah.
So even if you don't buy into the whole collective thing, it makes you more aware.
Exactly. Whether it's a literal thing or not, being mindful of your impact, that's never a bad idea.
For sure. So we've got this power of focus. And it's not just for to-do lists. It's like bigger than that.
It's about recognizing that we're part of something larger. And our choices, even our thoughts, they matter more than we might realize.
It's a bit humbling when you think about it that way.
It is, but also empowering,
Yeah.
We have more potential than we often give ourselves credit for.
I love that. That's a great note to end on, actually. The power of concentration. It's an old book, but man, there's some wisdom in there.
Timeless stuff about the power of our minds, the importance of focus, and how we can create real change in ourselves and maybe even the world.
Exactly. It's a journey, right?
Yeah,
Figuring out how to tap into all that.
it is. But the first step is awareness. And I think this book definitely gets you thinking about those things.
Absolutely. So to everyone listening, we hope this deep dive has sparked some inspiration, maybe even a little motivation.
Give yourself permission to explore the power of your own mind. It might surprise you what you're capable of.
Kind of said it better myself. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, everyone. Until next time.